2. The Galaxy Fold is making headlines, good and bad. And I want to come talk to the expert on all things that fold and happen to have a phone with me. You can probably guess where I am. Let's go. Galaxy Fold.
Very exciting.
It's new, it's different, and it is in typical Samsung form, full of controversy.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, really.
I mean, rightfully so. You think so? Samsung held to a different standard in phones in general,
Right.
and then you get one with a brand new form factor
And price.
Yeah, the price. So, okay, outrage going on, right or wrong?
You know, the thing with this, I feel like it's commensurate with the amount of hype. So, like, in other words, if you have this much hype associated with a product, there's going to be a subset of individuals that, for whatever reason, don't like it, and they're looking, where do they latch onto? What is the thing that they can grab to justify not wanting it, for example? Because the other group is so into it. Guys like me, they have to watch these videos, and I'm like, this is so cool. I'm playing PUBG. Like, this screen is massive. This is a whole new experience. I'm getting, the hype factor, the hype meter, which I can't help because I'm a tech fan, and like this is so different. It's refreshing. And so when I dive into this thing right here, it's like I'm just emoting the feeling, the sentiment. That's what's happening. So I feel like, much like has happened with previous devices, there's going to be a group of people that are looking for these types of stories that kind of go the other direction, which is fine. I think it's relevant. I think these things should be investigated to that point. But the truth of the matter is that right now, it's how many people even have these?
I'm guessing there's like 30 of them out in the open.
Is it even that many?
Maybe not even.
It could be. Let's put it this way. It's nowhere near an actual shipment to a wide array of regular customers. It's reviewers. It's guys like you and me and a handful of others that have these in our pockets right now. Here's the thing, though. I think what's important to discuss here is the difference between the two problems, the two different scenarios that arose on social media. You have the one which is like, we tried to peel off this thing.
Yep. User error.
We try to peel, but even in that, you flip this over, right, like this.
That's it.
Even in that situation, well, first I should ask you, did you think about peeling that off?
Never occurred to me. Did you?
No.
It never even thought to peel it off.
It didn't occur to me either. But it's weird that it didn't, because I have peeled off screen protectors.
I usually do it all the time.
Yeah.
It's like, this is I feel like I'm debating myself when I talk about this phone. I'm like, I want to give Samsung credit. They're developing something in the open. It's a first new form factor we've seen since what? The Note? Like the original Note.
Oh, it's even more radical than that.
I mean, we've never seen anything like this.
Yeah.
So I want to give them more leeway for trying something.
I've been doing it all along. I've been doing it since I got my hands on this thing. I feel myself making excuses for it because it's so ambitious, and because it's been so much of the same. It's a slight iteration from smartphone to smartphone, and they all show up here on the table on this channel, and you're kind of nitpicking slight differences between them. And to have a brand new, fresh form factor, you want it to keep happening. You want to almost encourage these brands to keep doing it so that you have something fresh to evaluate.
So that's the thing. Why, if brands are going to be critical or criticized and chastised for trying something new and maybe it fails, what's the motivation to try something new and push the envelope again?
To sell them. Sure. Hopefully. But you're right, though. This is one of those areas where it's hard to hold the customer accountable. Ultimately, if a regular human bought this thing and it was destroyed within 2 days, that's going to be a significant pain point for them, probably forever. Versus guys like us, I was talking about this with Dave yesterday, guys like us, it's like, well, I don't know, you send an email and maybe you get a fresh one. So we kind of need to adjust our lens when it comes to, a clear perspective or a perspective closer to a person spending their dollars to get one of these things. But you're completely right. It's like, if we want to see this type of experimentation take place, then we are going to have to make certain compromises.
So something's going to have to give. I mean, there's calls for, I want something new, I want a new form factor, and then we have a new form factor. And obviously, you should be critical. You're spending $2,000 on a phone. General consumers buying this. That's a lot of money. That's a ton of money, and the product should be held to a certain standard. I feel like you also have to understand very early first-gen product. You're buying essentially a beta product that's been or
Yeah.
be shared with the public.
Yeah. It's like a Samsung Kickstarter.
Yes. Okay, perfect. So you're Samsung right now. Let's say you're sitting in Seoul. How do you handle these issues that are going on right now? What do you do?
Well, first of all, they put out the statement, which is good.
Sure.
Statements are good. At least you're not silent. And they reference the fact that they're going to inspect the units that are available to them to inspect. I don't know what they're going to find. The one that kind of messed me up was the case, the Verge case.
Yeah.
The Dieter case, where he just had like, the picture I saw, it was just like a little bump and then a line in the display. So, I mean, I can't, without any more information, I don't know exactly what occurred there.
So he said they put it on clay. Like they use clay, so they use it for all their phones.
I heard
and like
this.
they think it might have gotten in through the hinge. But like, I mean, you're gonna put this in your pocket. Stuff's gonna be in your pocket. Like,
Clay.
that could happen.
You might have clay in your pocket.
Pocket full of clay. All right. So what do? So you put out a statement.
Yeah, you put out a statement. Man, I feel like this is kind of our job to a certain extent. Like maybe we can rationalize more than they're able to, only because they still have to sell the thing and their brand name is on it. What I said yesterday in a sort of discussion that I was having about it was, I feel like people just need to be aware of what they're buying. Like just recognize from the jump that this is not a solid state smartphone. That it's hard to even compare it to typical smartphones. I noticed this with myself carrying this thing. I'm babying. I'm a little gentler.
100%.
And I don't know if that comes through on camera. That's the problem. Is I think when we interact with it, we discuss it in the same framework as a typical smartphone. The feeling that might come through is that we should evaluate it like a typical smartphone. And I really don't think that's the case. I think this is different enough. It's a fresh enough form factor that we really need to think about the treatment necessary. Like there's no IP rating here. No one's telling you it's super durable beyond the fact that you can open and close the hinge 200,000 times according to Samsung, which is that's a big number.
Sure.
And untested in real life, obviously. But what can I say? I think this is a phone that's meant to be babied. For real. And I think there are enough people out there that are willing to do that.
So, devil's advocate, are we being too forgiving? Are we giving Samsung too much of the benefit of doubt because we want to like the phone?
Well, I think that's an inherent issue with anyone who's a tech fan.
Sure.
In general. Like, I've had this thing out in public. There's a lot of questions. People want to hold it. There's a cultural aspect to having the latest thing, and obviously the latest thing.
Yeah.
It's appealing to us, and it's part of the reason we got into this particular business. So it might be a blind spot. You could be right. I've seen, there's obviously the other take, and I think it's important for us to express that as well, which is that why should we promote a half-baked product, right? Why should we ask people who watch these videos to take a risk on this? I don't think we should.
I don't think so either.
So are we going easy? Like, in the same breath, I'm saying I love using this thing. I'm saying don't buy it. Like, I'm saying if you are at all scared of this particular outcome, there's one way to guarantee you won't have it. You can stick to a standard, boring slab of a smartphone. There's your solution right there.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think it's just important to sort of curb the way that we discuss it. Kind of like soften it up, curve off the end of it, and just be like, this is what it is. These are our expectations. And like I said earlier, I think this phone needs to be interpreted standalone, not like those other devices.
Yeah.
It's like it's somewhere between a tablet and a phone. It's got a hinge. It's kind of like a laptop. It's a weird new device, and the treatment of it is going to be weird for a bit. It's the giant hinge. It's this moving part. This is not something we've ever expected of a smartphone in the past. So I just feel like there is going to be inherently some compromise. It's just about being aware of that compromise.
So I want to ask another question. This is the first question I wanted to ask you. We sat down, but I had to build to it. I had to build the hype to get to the question.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's obviously a lot of commentary going on about the Galaxy Fold from people who have never seen it, touched it, and may never see it and touch it. Mm-hmm. What would you say to those people who are out there, whether they're in the tech community?
You talking about haters right now?
Or fans. Haters, people that are commenting on things they've never seen. Mm-hmm. And putting themselves in a position of authority without ever seeing a device.
Here's the thing, man. Isn't that a big part of the space in general?
Sure.
Isn't so much of it speculative? Like, when we make a video on one of these devices, what percentage of the audience has it? Whether it's this or something else, but they have an opinion.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Opinions are cheap. You get those ones for free. You wake up in the morning, you have one of those after your coffee and whatnot. So I don't know that there's a way to stop it. I think I would say it's a bit.
Would you even want to stop it if you could?
It's not really what I want to do. It's not like I don't want to wake up in the morning and then just hate on some ambitious product like this. Like I don't want to do it. I of course there are products that I like more than others. I have the benefit of being able to get them in my hands and actually evaluate them. Other people don't have that opportunity, so they are often having to judge from a distance. Sure. But you're completely right. People do go overboard. But that's the whole culture. That's the news cycle. That's the hype train. That's the hot take. Mm-hmm. It's all of it. It's like it's very seductive. The idea of having a one-liner like I knew it was going to be garbage. But to be honest with you, the fandom in the space, it never ceases to amaze me. It blows my mind all the time that people are like so dedicated to a particular brand that their love for that brand extends into the hatred for others. Mm-hmm. It's very bizarre. It's always been bizarre to me. The way I look at it is like, if this form factor succeeds in any way, it's only going to push the other manufacturers, the other brands that you do like, to potentially move in that direction as well. So if you're an Apple fan, it's not helpful to hate on Samsung. Like, these two players are established. They're in our future. They're here for the rest of our lives. So if they can push one another, the only person that's going to benefit in that exchange is you, the customer.
So before we started filming, we were downstairs talking. We were talking about sports, and you said something that resonated. It's like sports fandom. Mm-hmm. You know, you're rooting for the Jays or the Leafs, whoever you're rooting for. You're not rooting for the other guys, mm-hmm. right? Like, you're loyal to one, and to root for something else is, you're doing a detriment to your team, to your mm-hmm. squad. And it's interesting to see tech take on that same loyalty, that same dedication that sports has had for years.
Mm-hmm. It has been a transition for sure. I think these devices have become more important to people, and the investment has become more important to people. And culturally, they are representative of an individual. If they put it out on the table, they want it to somehow represent who they are in a way. And so there's a whole personality associated with it. I think it does. If you want to flip it on the positive, optimistic end, you could say like, it's cool that these things matter so much to people, that people are interested in them to begin with, mm-hmm. that people are interested in innovation or different brands within the space. But it's like a lot of other things. It can quickly get tainted and weird and totally shift gears and become personal attacks and very bizarre and truly not helpful to the conversation or to pushing the thing forward that you happen to be a fan of. So using the sports analogy, just because I'm a fan of a particular team doesn't actually mean I can't appreciate greatness elsewhere. Like, I think being a proper sports fan actually allows you to do that. I think a low-level sports fandom is only my team can do something great. I play sports myself. I think it's just as important to be able to lose a game and say, you know what, they deserve to win. Not necessarily winning and losing as the agenda, but how you play the game.
This was a big one. So before the screen started peeling off and phones started breaking, it was all about the crease. That crease.
Oh yeah,
down
crease.
The middle.
Yeah.
You care?
I don't know. I go back and forth. I go back and forth on this crease. So, my instinct is no. I think that the trade-off is amazing enough. The wow factor is still there for me.
Yeah.
So every time I pop this open, I'm still like, wow, am I at the coffee shop right now? Like, am I having breakfast right now? And I have access to this display? Because I wasn't the type of person who was going to carry a tablet around.
Yeah.
Like, it was never going to occur. It was whatever was in my pocket would be what I was using in those different circumstances. I pop it out. I'm still in that wow zone so much that the crease is like, it's way down the list of things that I'm interpreting. So I'd say no. I'd say it doesn't bother me. I'd say I don't care. But I would say it'd be better if it didn't have it. I'll go that far. I mean, if there was a way to engineer around the crease, then bonus points. But I'll take this experience with the crease over the typical smartphone experience in most circumstances.
So assuming there weren't any other issues with the phone, crease is not a reason to not buy it. If you're in the market, if you want to spend it, if you want the form factor and you want the latest tech.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, the other thing to mention is that like this is a very brightly lit environment. You can see the crease show up here in the reflection, but you realize that typically you're using this indoors in the evening. There's a lot less competing light source, and so in those environments, it actually diminishes the appearance of the crease even more. So like lying in bed, for example, or on the couch.
Yeah.
Oh, you really enjoy that.
Does that look creepy? No, that's but then that's your point. No, but I was sitting in bed in the hotel last night. And I was sitting there watching it, and I didn't take out my iPad for the first time.
Yeah, you wouldn't. No, I have in my house. I have all kinds of iPads, iPad Minis. This actually maps really closely to the iPad Mini, but it's actually lighter, and the bezel is smaller. And so when you do the rest on the pinky like this, like you're doing, right there,
it fits perfectly.
Yeah, it's you feel like you could hold it like that for a while. It's comfy.
It was shocking to see how much real estate you had. So I saw you did a video where you compared it to everything else, and you put the iPhone across it. You're like it's not that different.
Yeah.
So that was shocking to actually see, and someone who has held the phone and had it, I didn't realize it. Mm-hmm. And the more I use it, the wow factor hasn't hasn't gone away.
It's still cool.
I mean, you've used a lot of phones. People are asking you more about this than any other phone that you've had?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's not even close.
Like this and the original Note were the two phones that people stopped to ask about, and like they were
or the original iPhone.
Sure.
Yeah.
But as far as like the original iPhone, definitely.
Yeah.
But as far as like paradigm shifting phones that were like changing, like the rectangle.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is a really big first step, and I say this in like the broad breadth of foldable phones. So you can throw the Mate X in there, but like it's here.
Mm-hmm.
It's a product that you can choose to buy or not choose to buy. But this is incredible.
Yep. It's just I think it's important. It's important to also mention it's just version 1.
Yes.
Like it's incredible. It's everything you just said. I think people tend to interpret this stuff in a very polarizing way. Like, does that mean he just said that it's perfect? No, he didn't just say it was perfect. It's like, for some reason, I feel the need to always kind of put that next piece in. It's Gen 1, and it's expensive. Well, everything we're talking about is true. It's amazing. It's cool. The cool factor is 1,000 and so forth. But it's expensive, and it's Gen 1. So if you're not a Gen 1 kind of person, if you're not experimenting through your tech purchases, if you can't bear the expenditure of like this risk, because any Gen 1 is a risk of anything,
always,
then it's probably not the place for you. As cool as it might seem, you might want to hold off to the next gen. It's quite possible. But it would be unfortunate if the product was a complete failure and they had to escape the segment altogether and they gave up on folding phones. So I hope some people buy it. So I can keep having it. I hope some people buy it, but I don't think it's for the hesitant purchaser who wants like the rock solid smartphone of 2019.
No, this is not. This is not it. What's exciting though is when this filters its way down. So it's a Halo car. You know, it's the i8, NSX. Like that technology makes its way down the lineup.
Correct. Yep. And volume helps. If there is any level of success here, then they can increase the volume, which therefore they can innovate further. They can get the cost down of it. As the volume goes up, the margins can shrink. There's all kinds of good things that happen if the product is successful. So I hope that it is, as weird as that is, I hope that it is, because it just represents something so different, and it encourages this type of experimentation from the brands that we're hoping to get it from.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I mean, looking at this and where it's going, I mean, you can see 2-3 generations from now, this being the Note. I mean, with an S Pen on here, this is probably Samsung's original vision, with the Note.
Yeah.
It's a big screen experience that you can't get. And you can only make a rectangle so big before it's a tablet or just doesn't fit in anybody's pocket. Like, this is next.
Yeah, if you were trying to make a tablet for somebody's pocket, I just don't even know how else you do it. It has to fold.
Yeah.
There's no other way.
So, all right, so last question. Do you like the Innie or the Outie Fold? So, Mate X, Galaxy Fold.
Okay, so that's hard to say without looking at it. I mean, I'm just speculating. Obviously, benefit of folding inward is you're protecting the plastic display by having it covered. But the downside is this mini little exterior display. Now, granted, this guy is narrow, so one-handed use benefits a little bit by the narrow because of the narrow screen. That said, there's certain functionality on the screen. It just feels like like you're gonna like need to zoom in. It just doesn't feel right on this.
Typing is
right
small on it.
Yeah, it's typing, for example, various other things where it's not a typical 2019 smartphone experience on the outside. So also I should mention the Huawei device is more expensive. It's like even $500 more than this, I think.
So.
So holy moly! I mean, we're going even further into the luxury territory. I really want to get it in hand. If it feels as fat as this one, it might be difficult one-handed to really interact with it too much. And then you start to question, well, then why are you folding out? Because the display is so big to begin with. In the folded mode, are you going to be compelled to utilize the full display as frequently as on this, where it's almost like the exterior screen motivates you to pop it open more frequently?
This is like the secondary screen,
exactly,
and the primary screen inside.
Right, as opposed to, you could probably make the alternative argument on the Mate. I'm split. I got to try it first. I really can't say for certain. I'm glad this one is here, and I think being the first one on the desk, you get some certain points for that.
Agreed.
Race to the moon and whatnot. But I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait to see.
Fair enough. Dude, thank you for the time.
Yeah,
thanks for walking me through this. It was nice to get inside your brain a little bit, and like see how you think, and kind of talk about the future of tech.
Yeah, it was cool.
Thank you, man.
You got it.